This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 845, The Glacier Front, Centistan on Ice. Enjoy. I think this is what has been needed to introduce people to PvM, aside from the specter of death costs, is that with this, you're in total control of the encounter. And one of the things that is very true about psychology, about fear and whatnot, is that the more you're in control of something, the more you're in control of an experience that might be unpleasant or new to you, the more likely you are to get through it and not be worried about it. And that's one thing that they are employing here. I don't know if that was a deliberate tactic, but it definitely works. So going through the mechanics, you can turn off the mechanics by toggling them on or off in the little bar of checkboxes that appears at the top of your screen, or you can talk to any one of the individual mages to turn them on and off. Now, one of the first mechanic that will always be on is creeping ice. Ice shards effectively move, close in from left and right on either side of you, and they force you into a specific part of the arena. You can't turn these off, and you just basically got to move out of their way. If you are hit by them, you will take a tiny bit of melee damage, not too much, but I'd imagine at higher enrages that could become quite a problem, couldn't it?
I don't know if the damage goes up, but it's more the fact that it kind of like stuns you and puts you on your butt, and then you can't move.
Yeah, you got to basically restart combat with that, and this is just move out of the way, no problem. Next one is Glacier Minions, which is toggled off by talking to Ariane. The Glacier will spawn additional minions, and you can't damage the Arch-Glacor until all the minions are dead. So with this, you need to, of course, use AoE damage, either through your AoE abilities, or, as I have been told, if you're using ranged, use a mechanized Chinchampa.
Yep, that works pretty well. That's what most people have been doing with those.
All right.
Yeah, and then one extra with that. Once you kill the minions, at first I wasn't picking up the orbs because it would just lower a stack of a debuff. But when you pick up that orb, it actually damages the boss after you pick it up.
Yeah, it's not too big of a deal on normal, but I'd imagine that's definitely something you need to hit when you're on your hard mode streaks, I'd imagine, right, Bears?
I do it just because I do. I mean, it doesn't deal too much damage.
Okay.
It's only 1,000 each, so not too much. But it's more the stacks that you're trying to clear.
Right.
Because if you get 10 of those stacks, you just get stunned, which hasn't happened to me, but I just don't want it to.
All right. Next up is the Flurry ability. This is Arianwin. The Arch-Glacor will switch between two different combat types, magic and ranged, and the player has increased damage reduction when praying against the correct combat type, and you can tell what it is based on the color. Green is ranged and blue is magic. And this is the mechanic that teaches prayer switching. The first mechanic taught target acquisition and changing targets. And I think this is a good way to do it because I don't feel like you absolutely have to prayer switch because you're not going to get penalized on normal mode that much for missing the prayer switch. I don't know how it is at higher enrages on hard mode.
When I was streaking, if I missed one prayer flick, I was probably dead.
Okay.
So it's a big part. Is there not the melee ability in normal mode?
I don't know because I was on.
Correct. There's no. It's just between magic and range. There's no melee swipe on normal mode.
Okay, in hard mode they add a melee swipe in.
Okay, and you'll want to pray melee for that one then, I'd imagine.
Yep.
Okay. So that's
all.
all.
And with
that's
that,
all
if
three.
you wear the ring, you actually get an extra 10% increase.
Yeah, after it's been upgraded.
Yes.
Yeah.
After you upgrade the Pontifex Shadow Ring, I believe it is at this stage, with 1,000 resonant anima of Wen. The next one is Pillars of Ice, and this is from Acthonikos. The Glacier will force the player to move to one side of the arena and calls down the beams. The beam will follow the player around and then split into two, and then a third one. On hard mode, this does damage you, and it also saps your prayer. This is perhaps the mechanic I have the most difficulty with.
Yeah, most people do. It's very deadly.
Yeah, I've been told that the best way to combat this one is to either run in effectively a figure 8 format starting from the what side would that be? Southwest, I think? Southeast part of the arena, and then run south and then across and then effectively do a figure 8 that way. Another way involves surging through the bottom part of the arena as well. How have you been avoiding that one, Bears?
I don't know directions, but if you're looking at the boss, I go to the top right corner.
Yeah. That's where it starts, top right corner, let's just say.
Yeah, and then I will bladed dive through the first one that spawns into like the bottom left corner that I can get to before the creeping ice disappears.
Right.
And then I surge through the bottom one.
Okay, that's what
And if I need be, I barricade too.
That's what I was. That's another thing I was doing. I was surging through some parts of it because it seems that with that you'd only take one tick, which on normal is not a big deal. But I'd imagine you can get smacked pretty hard on hard mode with that.
Yeah, I mean, I also can't melee there, so I have the Trim Masterwork bleed that keeps me alive.
Okay, so you're using.
I do take.
So you're using melee through this entire kill. That's interesting.
I am, yes.
Okay, I'm using ranged.
I'm also using melee because as a mid-level player, you have to invest in one playstyle, and so that's the playstyle I have right now.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't know. You think I should give melee a try if I'm doing well with ranged?
So personally, and from what I've been told, range is easier.
Okay, because I have the full Trim Masterwork and spear. So
okay, that's good. I don't know. I just like melee because I'm slightly better with melee, and the Vamp Scrimshaw is significantly cheaper to use than Hydrix bolts or Onyx bolts, which I'd feel obligated to use if I'm using range. So.
And that's a very key point here. In all my range stuff I'm doing, I'm either using Emerald Bolts or I'm using the Rubies.
Which are also great choices. Like, they're both, I don't even know. I mean, Hydrix is probably best in slot.
Of course.
And then Emerald or Rubies.
Yeah.
So, I loved doing range with the SGB, too. Sarangabo. But melee is just, it's safer. It's so much slower, but it's safer.
Okay. Because of the Masterwork set effect, I'd imagine.
Actually, what else this is going to teach you, other than situational awareness, is that after you don't make contact with an enemy for so long, your adrenaline starts to drain. And so I find that I have to start running with melee, walk up to the boss, make contact, hit him a few times, keep my adrenaline where it was, and then avoid the rest of the beams.
Okay.
Because if I just run around as melee, I lose all my adrenaline.
Right, and see, I have a different solution for that. I'm using the Persistent Rage Relic Power. That prevents that from draining. But anyways, back to mechanics. Pardon the interruption there. Next up is the Frost Cannon. This is, you talk to Charos to enable this one. And with this, the Glacier traps the player into a small area on the bridge and starts spinning around. And with that, releases a huge surge of energy. And this is the attack that will kill you if you are not praying properly, or if you don't use the appropriate defensives for this. As in, if you don't have Protect from Magic on, and you get hit by this, sayonara, goodbye.
Yep. Real quickly, I have to say, this is the coolest animation from any boss.
Oh, yeah.
It is so sweet. I love watching it, and my first hour or so, I died to it multiple times just because I was distracted with how cool it was. I was like, that's an okay death. I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's very obvious when it's coming. And then it teaches you your very first switch for Switchscape, because you can put a shield on and do resonance, which is going to give you that health back. This is how I can do this boss mid-level without any food or very little food. Because when he does this attack, you gain anywhere from 5 to 7,000 HP back in normal
with
mode.
Resonance, you're saying?
Yeah, but in hard mode, you're dead.
Yeah.
Resonance does not work.
So that's what I was going to ask you, Bears. What are you using in hard mode to handle this? Because in normal mode, all I'm doing is I am using Protect from Magic and Devotion, and if Devotion's not available, I'll just Protect from Magic and Debilitate.
Yep, I mean, same idea. If I don't have Devotion, then you need to Debilitate, Reflect, and still eat food.
All right.
But usually you're fine. I just always have Devo up, or if it's back-to-back, I'll sometimes barricade it too. Yeah,
and another good option if you don't have the Adrenaline up for Devotion is to use a Adrenaline Potion, because that gives you the 40 you need to fire off a Threshold.
Yep.
Which
Vitality Pod also works too.
What does that one do?
It doubles your HP for 6 seconds. So you still need to use a defensive. So you still need to either Debilitate or Reflect. But it's much safer.
Got it. That makes sense. And another fun little bit about this one is that if you are indeed not careful, and if you even just look away for 1 minute, as you said, if you're trying to just take in how it looks, you are going to get smacked by it. That has happened numerous times on my end, so I will admit to that. But the next attack is Exposed Core, which is an Akra. The Glacier releases what's called a Frozen Core onto the map, and it puts both of its arms on the battlefield, and you need to destroy one of the arms to get yourself out, because if you don't get yourself out, you will start taking a lot of magic-based damage. And the arms are weak to either Crush or, I think, what was the other one weak to? It was weak to a magic type, I believe.
Fire Spell.
Fire Spell, yeah. So there's a reason to use magic right there. So which of the mechanics that we've mentioned here so far do you guys find the hardest?
By far, the pillars, beams attack that follow you around. That's just sometimes so random.
Right.
I don't know if it just sometimes will feel like it's faster, or sometimes feel like it's in a different spot than it should be.
Yeah, and there's also a third beam on hard compared to normal. So there's that. How about you, Drama Free? Which one is the hardest for you?
So in normal mode, it's going to be the ability where it spawns 4 ads. Because it's just really inconvenient because I can't damage the boss. And
so the Glacier one you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because on normal mode, the beams, they're very predictable. There's only 2 of them, so I can run to the far right corner, and then I can actually damage the boss during that phase, so it's not a big deal. But the ads, they're just frustrating, and they're just
I'm actually gonna agree with you and say that that's the mechanic that bothers me the most, but that's only because I have Ricochet and Bombard. If I had used a mechanical Chinchampa, I think it wouldn't have been as difficult to fight. And those are the mechanics of the boss. They're all available to come up at any time in the fight. It is random. There's no specific rotations or DPS checks, I think, to skip, like Carapac. Like, you can skip the entire lightning phase on Carapac. I don't think you can do that here. At least I haven't heard that you can do that, right?
Right. I mean, if you kill the boss fast enough, you might not see any, but it's not, I won't consider it a skip. It's just you killed it in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely not going to happen in hard mode.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with that being said, we can say that you can talk to Azanadra to enable hard mode, and that's the mechanics from the boss. And I think it says something that we were able to sum up all these mechanics just so nicely here, and that each one of them has a specific aspect of teaching people PvM, but at the same time they all add something unique to the boss. You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.